Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. We are delighted to have you back with us. And I'd like to welcome you to Authentic Achievements, the show where we share real stories from leaders and experts who've built success by staying true to who they are. I'm your host, Kim-Adele Randall, and today I am thrilled to be joined by Sutton McCraney, a wife, homeschool mum of 4, expat and proud United States Air Force veteran. Sutton holds a master's degree in management and is currently pursuing her MBA in marketing. She draws on her incredible experience to help experts stand out as leaders, attract premium clients, and become a category of one in their industry using the power of content. What makes Sutton truly unique is her concept of magnetic leadership, aligning your authentic leadership with your marketing so that you naturally attract the right people and the right opportunities. If you've been trying to break through in your industry but still aren't seeing the growth you want, Sutton offers a magnetic shift call, a free 20-minute session to uncover the exact gaps in your messaging and online presence, and you can connect with her in the notes below. But let's first bring Sutton out and bring this to life. So how do you really get into that magnetic leadership? Sutton, welcome.
Kim, thank you so much for having me here, and welcome to everyone all over the world.
It's such a delight to have you on the show, Sutton, and I love that you're taking all of that experience, and what a breadth of experience, from homeschooling 4 children. I'm trying to work out which would be more challenging, that or the Air Force. I've got a feeling maybe both equally, but you'll be able to bring that to life for us. So can you tell us a little bit about what brought you here?
What brought me here to Authentic Achievements? What brought me here on this journey?
Life.
Wow. Just like most things in life, it was a meandering journey for me. I spent almost 10 years in the United States Air Force, and having my own business online was not the plan at all. In fact, when I made the decision that I was going to be leaving the Air Force, I wanted to open up a fitness studio in Morocco, which is where I currently live. And I had this big vision all planned out, and that was right before 2020. And that plan didn't work out. And hindsight is 2020, and it was actually a blessing in disguise. And so I just kind of went on this path, went back to school, got my master's in management, did some project management for a startup company, had a podcast that I monetized by accident. And I had a very, very good friend who was starting their coaching business, and they came to me for advice. And at the end of the call, they were just like, you should be doing this. And it was a completely foreign concept to me. I didn't know there were people paying money to talk to people on Zoom. And I just said, no one's going to want to pay to talk to me. People can just Google this and, be on their way. So I sat with that, and it took me a whole year, Kim, before I actually went forward and started my business.
Wow. And that's so often the case, Sutton, from the people that I speak to. We can have the idea. We know that we've got a skill set and a lived experience that can help other people that might be facing something we faced, and yet we find ourselves becoming our own worst enemy, sitting in that period of doubt, waiting for that moment of perfection when everything's lined up, when when all of the things drop into place. And yet that's not what happens in an entrepreneur. Well, it's not what happens in life, let alone an entrepreneurial journey. But it certainly isn't what happens in an entrepreneurial journey, is it?
Not at all. And I think that's something that is not made clear to people when they start out, that this is going to be a journey. It's not, instant oats,
Yeah,
right? It is a constant evolution, and all of that is normal, and it is okay. I think what gets people caught up is the fact that most of us were conditioned into a 9 to 5 mindset. And so we go to our job, right? We do our thing. We never see what's behind the scenes. We never see the board who didn't hit their quotas for the first quarter,
yeah,
right? The sales department, operations, management. We never see all those moving pieces. We clock in and clock out. But when you're a business owner, you are all of those departments. So the buck stops with you, and then it gets real like, oh, okay, I have to go out and market this. I have to go out and talk to these people. I have to do this, I have to do that. And I think people don't realize that. So when there's these ebbs and flows, it can get overwhelming because a lot of people have not prepared themselves for that eventuality and inevitability.
That's so true. Because I think, when you start off as an entrepreneur and you've got an idea, haven't you? And you think, okay, I can do this. This is going to be really, really good. And then you get there and you're on day one, and all of a sudden you're marketing and you're HR and you're legal and you're IT. And you're like, well, hold on. I didn't realize I've got to factor all of those into what I do. And then you've got that fear of not being enough. You look at everybody else and they seem to have it all together. And you don't want to just be a me too. So how do you find that niche? How do you find that? What is it that you're bringing that makes you unique in the sea of people that are doing something similar to you?
Well, I'd say the first thing that makes me unique is the honesty.
Yeah.
The honesty that the reason my clients come to me is because I have no problem telling them what is real. I hold up that mirror for my clients. So I'm not just going to cheer them on, just to get them through the program, because my job is to guide them to where they want to be, not where I want them to be.
Yeah.
So that means I have to be honest with them. If they're, slacking off on whatever it says that they want, well, we need to have a discussion about that, about why that is, not for me, but for you. So I think that's one thing. And the other thing is that I don't push my way of doing business on my clients,
Yeah.
right? If they don't like shaking a tail feather on TikTok, they most certainly don't have to do that. I want them to find their way and truly empower them to do that. And I think that's something else that's missing, particularly in the online space. There's a lot of blueprints, as you said, the sea of saying everybody just kind of cookie cutter, copy paste. And I think that's because uh, there's this misconception that there is this set formula for success, for business success.
Yeah.
And that is not the case. Everybody's journey is different. And again, as I said in the beginning, that is okay. We have to find our own unique path. And I think that's what helps me stand out, because I'm not afraid to help my clients do that, even if it means I'll have less clients because of it, because there's some people that just give me the exact steps, right? And I'm not here to do that.
I love that, because I think that's what we've got to do, isn't it? We've got to find our space. And one of the reasons why my show and my business is called Authentic Achievements is like, how do we find our path back to being authentically us and being able to define what success looks like for us? Because I've worked with loads of leaders, too many to mention, over the years, and they've hit what you would suppose success looked like. They've got the status, they've got the money, they've got the car. They don't feel fulfilled. They don't feel happy. They're kind of still churning, and yet they've achieved what allegedly they wanted to achieve. And sometimes it's helping people to take that step back and going, is that really what you want? Is that going to give you happiness? I was saying to a client just the other day, and he was like, well, I'd work really hard and I'd get there. And I said, okay, so you've got there, you've done that, brilliant, and you've achieved it. How happy are you? And he looked at me and went, well, about 25%. I went, so why are you putting all that effort and all that work? in something that's 25%. And as I think it's Colin Firth's character said it in Mamma Mia too, there is absolutely no point getting to the top of the ladder if it's pointed at the wrong wall. But that can be one of the challenges for people, isn't it? Is how they identify if the ladder they're trying to climb is on the wall that they would like it to be on.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it comes back to being honest with yourself. Because we live in a modern world and there's so many things thrown at us telling us this is what we should be. This is the box we should fit into. Don't you like this box? Everybody who's successful, this is their box. We've been told what the pinnacle of success is. And because of the inundation of information and everything, it takes a lot to just kind of remove yourself from the noise and say, okay, what do I really want?
Yeah.
And am I okay with what I really want? Right? It may not be something that you just wake up one morning and you're like, I got it.
Yeah.
You may think you want something a year from now, and then you get to the year and you're like, you know what? It's time to move on.
Yeah.
And I think all of those things are okay.
It's so true, because what's right for you is not going to be right for somebody else. But do you find when you're working with clients that they have to intentionally be taken into that world of saying, look at your whole world of what you're trying to achieve, versus this is what I'm trying to achieve for business, or this is what I'm trying to achieve for my career, or this is what I'm trying to achieve for my family, and not that pulling together of all those strands and going, but you are one person with only the same 24 hours in a day. So unless you can pull that back to holistically, what is it you want to do in all quadrants of your life or all aspects of your life? Do you find that's something that takes some support in helping people to really, I guess, kind of boil down all of those hopes and dreams and everything into what is your secret sauce? What is the thing that you really want to achieve that you can say is going to give you fulfillment in all elements that are important to you?
That's a great question. And from my experience with my clients, I've noticed there's a lot of overlap and reflection with their business and other aspects of their lives. And I think having a space where there is permission, a lot of people are just waiting for permission.
So true.
For someone to say, it's okay. It's okay for you to pursue this. You don't want to make the unicorn mythical $10,000 per month. That's fine. You want to still work your job and grow your business. That's okay. So I think providing that space, that whatever you really truly envision for yourself, is perfectly fine for you to do that. And then I've noticed that that's when the light bulb goes off.
Yeah.
So then it's, oh, okay. So if it's okay for me to do this in my business, well, then I can, do other things. For example, I had a client very recently who came to me who had no business at all. She had tried to experiment with entrepreneurship before, and she carried around a lot of trauma from those experiences. And so when we began to working together, it was only 4 weeks. She had renewed her her nail tech license. She came up with a business plan, started putting her work out there, got a business account for her social media, and she was getting inquiries in her DMs. But it didn't stop there, because then she started eating better. She started cutting back hours at her job to spend more time with her son. So she had these other ripple effects in her life because the light bulb went off, that it's okay to give herself permission to pursue these things, that it was safe now. And I think that's the biggest thing.
It's so true, because we do often, we seek that external permission or validation that this is the right thing, or now's okay, or that isn't going to be looked upon in a negative vein by anybody, because you should be doing more hours at work, or you should be, we use should be all the time. when we're thinking about what other people might say about us, and the reality is they're too busy telling themselves what they should be doing, that they're probably not spending any time whatsoever thinking about what we should be doing in the slightest. But I think that permission to be human, that permission to say, the thing about life is none of us are getting out of here alive, so we may as well make the most of it while we're here. And therefore, if we've got things that aren't bringing us joy, we need to look for things that can change that. Now, that doesn't mean to say it's our joy at the expense of everybody else's, but it equally can't be everybody else's joy at the expense of ours. It has to be in balance, doesn't it? So how do you help people find that balance?
Setting boundaries. And I think boundaries are more for the individual setting boundaries than other people. You know, I find that my clients, once they say, okay, this is what I'm available for in my business, in my life. And then just like those other aspects I spoke about, there's that ripple effect that they begin to see, okay, this is my purpose, right? I'm being true to that. And then other people respond to that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just this sphere of influence that goes outward once the individual makes that decision.
It's so true, because I think we worry and we fear, don't we, what's going to happen if we set that boundary, particularly if we've not been very good at setting boundaries previously. I used to be horrendous at setting boundaries, and then when you first do start setting them, you do sometimes get a little bit of pushback that's like, oh, hold on, what's going on here, because you're normally so flexible it hurts. And now you're being a little bit less flexible, and it's finding that, for me, one of the big steps was getting comfortable with that and going, yeah, I understand I'm not available when you need me to be, but here's the hours that I am available. I'm still available for you, but actually now I need to put that in line with other priorities, like my little girl, or other things that were going on, instead of saying yes and then spending all that time feeling like I wasn't doing enough for the person I'd moved out of the way to be accommodating for somebody else. And that, you're right, it is very much more for the individual. I now know when I set boundaries, it gives me freedom. It allows me to go, actually, it's perfectly acceptable for me to say I don't want to work past 10 p.m. in an evening, even if that works better for the other person, because that just means, like, if that means it's not right for us to work together, then it's not right for us to work together, because that's just the way of the world, isn't it? Whereas I think, particularly in those early entrepreneurial days, and I'd love your thoughts on this, almost the fear of, there's so many other people that are doing a similar thing, and how do you stand in your truth and share what it is that you do, and therefore, if somebody wants you to be available, you should be available, like, because you're never going to grow your business any other way, and then you suddenly end up being beholden to it, and it not, we set up on our own because we want freedom, we want autonomy, we want to create the life that we want to lead, and then if we go down that route, we end up with all of the downsides of working for somebody else: too many hours, not enough control, no restrictions, but with none of the upside, none of the security that the bills are going to get paid, the salary is going to come in. So you end up almost creating that perfect storm world, don't you, where you've got none of the things that you hoped you were going to get around freedom, and all of the fear that comes from what happens if you don't win clients? What happens if you can't pay your staff? What happens if you can't do these things? So how do you help people navigate that mindset piece to say, if you keep going down this route, you've got the worst of both worlds. You're just gonna burn out, and you're gonna end up going back and working for somebody else, versus actually having the courage to stand in your truth?
That is a great question and a great observation. I know I have seen that a lot, where people have just, replaced essentially one 9 to 5 with another. And for my clients, I start with showing them that this is the trap, right? Walking them through, okay, when you were in school, you were being prepared to be on that conveyor belt. And then unless you get yourself out of that mindset, which we work on, that's just going to continue where you're just in your business. You're not running it, you're not leading it. You're just on that hamster wheel. And when it comes to really living in your truth and standing on that, I think it's first acknowledging, that a mindset shift is needed. And I think it's next having that conversation that what am I doing in my business right now that I don't want to do?
Yeah.
And for some people that I've worked with, they've never thought about that before, right?
It's
They've
not the
never
question.
thought.
It's not
Go
the
ahead.
question to ask, is it? We don't ask what could we stop. What are the things? One of the things that I do with clients is the do, delegate, or dump list. What are the things that you
Mm,
want to do because it's you at your best? Like they're the things you love to do. And then what are the things you'd love to delegate, even if you can't delegate them today, but you know that they'd be on your list to delegate in the future. And then what are the things you just need to dump? Because they had no value to you, they had no value to your customers, and they had no value to your business. But you've got yourself stuck doing them because we all do, don't we? We all do get stuck doing things that we can't even remember why we're doing them because we don't take those moments of pause and reflect, those moments to step back and go, is everything I'm doing every day really moving the needle forward for me, for the family, for the life I want to lead, for the business, for the people I serve? So how do you help people create that space to be able to intentionally reflect on those elements and go, okay, these bits need to be done, but eventually I'd bring somebody in to do those. These bits, I don't know why I'm wasting time on it. I don't know why why am I fretting about this when it's not going to be important to me in 5 months, 5 weeks, 5 days?
I say, let's look at your day. Let's look at your day in your business. And what I find is most of it's just fluff, Kim.
Yeah.
In Canva or, having conversations that don't move the needle, and it's very scattered. So getting really clear on that. And as you said, the delegation, and with the delegation, especially with women, we tend to take on things, right? Because we think that that's our role, just to take on everything. And this is where the boundaries come in place. So whether it's with, children, partner, this is my time to do this. I'm going to be away for a few minutes. All of those things come into play. And then that day, it starts to free up. So when I tell my clients, you don't need to be posting, for example, on social media 5 times a day,
Yeah.
right? You don't need to do that. And so then it's like, oh, well, I always thought that I had to. Well, who told you you had to? Is this written somewhere in stone tablets that you have to do this? Well, no, I don't even like doing this. Well, let's find something that you do like and do that instead so you can get even better results because it's aligned with your life and what you envision for your business.
I love that, guys. It's so true because when I first started out, it was very much you've got to be on social media and you've got to do this, you've got to. Oh, the thought sent shivers. I'm like, don't want to do that. Don't want to be in front of a camera. I don't want to talk. I happily talk to people. I happily talk to clients, people I can help. I happily talk to people who may never become clients, but actually I can add some value and I can help. But that was very different from our having to do this, and yet all of the all the courses that you went on, this is what you need to do, like sheep dip everybody through it. And then we realize now actually that's not what anybody wants. People want authenticity. They want connection. And actually, they're not going to connect if you're doing something that doesn't fill you with joy, if it doesn't bring you some sense of increase, because that's when you are at your best, and that's what people are looking for, isn't it? Is that if they can hit your energy, if they can feel that actually it's going well for you, they've got more confidence that you can help them make it go well for them.
That is so true. And when you're mentioning authenticity and connection, you know, the world, we are interconnected, right? We are very connected when it comes to technology and access to information, but we are very disconnected when it comes to our humanity and the human component of connection. And I think it just comes down to people wanting to feel something again, wanting to
Yeah.
feel something again and believe in themselves again. So when we cut through all of the how much money do you want to make, you want to do this, the goals, all of that, when you get through all of that at the end of the day, whatever people are buying from you, even if it's a t-shirt or a social media management package, they want to feel something. Yes, they want to solve the problem that they have, but underneath that, them solving that problem makes them feel something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we are missing. And that is why, as you so colorfully mentioned, the sheep dipping of everyone, and this is how you do it. That process takes away the humanity. And this is why we have the copy paste. And I think we are on the precipice of a huge shift in marketing
Yeah.
because of that. People who have been able to skate by with the copy paste, cookie cutter kind of thing, that is no longer going to work because, as I said, people need that deeper connection. And people know what's real and what isn't. I mean, we see it, right? We see it all over the world with different situations where there is unrest
Yeah.
because people are seeing through the garbage. And I think that's no different than marketing your business and services. So, quite honestly, if you want to stay in business, you got to come out there and stand on your truth.
Yeah. Well, that's what people are looking for, isn't it? They're looking for. I often liken it to, and there's a video many many years ago, used to be on YouTube, of these all these people, and they were sat in a massive field at a concert, and then one guy gets up and dances like an absolute lunatic, and everybody sits there going.
I've seen that, yeah.
But within a couple of minutes, you realise he's having a lot more fun than everybody else. So people start to get up and join, and then it's not very long before everybody. Actually, the weird people are the ones that haven't moved yet, the ones that have stayed there. And the reason I share that is I think that's the kind of image I get from standing in our own truth is the not being afraid to get out there and dance like a weirdo before everybody else joins. Because that's, I think, what the world's now looking for. They're looking for somebody who goes, you felt awkward following this path. You felt like you didn't fit in. You felt like you had to try and be something that you weren't. You had to filter every picture. You had to doctor everything that you said. And yet now, actually, what we really want is to go back to what we need as humans, which is to be listened to, understood, and respected. And that doesn't mean to say we don't disagree, but we don't disrespect. We allow people to stand in their truth without judgment. And it's going to take some brave people to make that move. But I think it is, like you say, that is the next iteration, isn't it?
It's the next situation. And once that hits, I think that will just be the future.
Yeah.
I
So,
really do. Go ahead.
sorry, I was just about to say, so tell me, you're sat with a beautiful backdrop behind you of the flavor room. I'm dying to find out more.
That's a perfect segue into what we were just discussing, because that is really at the core. What was that?
I hoped so.
Yeah, that was smooth. I don't think you planned it, but it was perfect. So this is the flavor room is really my brainchild. I'll be quite honest. The flavor room came from a place of me starting my business over 3 years ago and coming online and looking around like, okay, there's no one that looks like me. No one that thinks like me, has similar experiences to me. And I always had this sense that there was this unspoken rule that I don't fit in. But when you come online, you start your business, people are telling you that you got to network, you got to get out there, you got to meet people. But I found myself just on the hamster wheel, forcing myself to be in spaces and places where it wasn't aligned. And I was observing how, different people were running their spaces. And I said to myself, I can do this and do it better. But I was not at that point on my journey to be
Yeah.
able to bring that to fruition. So I shelved it. It became one of those someday. right? We say that to ourselves. Well, someday I'll do it, maybe, because I knew I had a bigger vision and I wanted someone to partner with me on that. So fast forward to 3 months ago, and a friend of mine, we were actually in a challenge together, and we were just messaging back and forth. And I said, "Hey, I have this idea that has been in my head for 3 years. Do you know anybody who would be interested in helping out?" I was not even thinking about her. And she said, "Well, yeah, but tell me what it is." So I told her what it was, and she was like, "I would be interested." We did not have a sales page, we didn't have anything fancy. We just kind of had this concept. We put it on a Google Doc, and 24 hours, we sold out all of our founding member spots. Now after 3 months, we have 11 members, and we're represented by 7 countries. So what
Wow.
is the flavor room? I'm sorry?
Sorry, I was just saying, wow, that's amazing. I was sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was
No, it's fine. It's amazing because this is invite only.
yeah, but and you built it through that clarity. So the clarity allowed those people to be attracted to you. So sorry, I was just very interested.
No, you're fine. We've built it out of the clarity of action.
Yeah, yeah.
Not let's wait, let's plan it all out and then move. We moved and it became clear through the process. So the flavor room is a curated ecosystem for diverse leaders and entrepreneurs of color. So what does that mean? That means that for diverse leaders and entrepreneurs of color, they need a space where they can come in and get what they need for opportunities, access, influence. And that is the space that we provide, whether it's help with their marketing, their visibility, sales, whatever it is, we have this hub. And we want to elevate voices and individuals that don't fit the mold, that don't often get the exposure or get the tags and the shout outs and the opportunities to connect and further their business. They are often overlooked, undervalued, and underestimated. And so the real purpose of the flavor room is to change the face of entrepreneurship, saying that we have people who are here who are bringing their flavor, right? Bring your flavor, build your influence. So that's what we're about, and something that makes the flavor room, in my opinion, very different and special is the fact that it's invite only. It is not come one, come all, because we have set standards in place, standards that we follow in order to protect the integrity of the flavor room, but also to protect our members. And I think that's something that is missing in a lot of communities and groups and spaces is standards have often become lip service because people are afraid to say and stand in their truth. This is who we are. This is what we're about. So we're brushing that all to the side. We're saying this is who we are. This is what we're about. And here's why, because we're showing you what community can really be, where people come together.
Amazing. And I love that because I think sometimes they are, it's just a little bit too much. How do you find out where you fit in? If people are standing in their truth, they know what their values are, they know what the value set is, and then you pull it into that, actually, we're going to invite you in. There's almost an element, it feels like there's almost an element then of the person coming in is immediately given some accountability and some responsibility to then stand by those rules, stand by that moral fiber, that the value set that the community's created. Whereas sometimes in the come all whenever, that can be harder to get that sense of accountability because it hasn't been so implicit that actually you've been entrusted to be invited into this space as opposed to you were allowed to join it, which is psychologically quite different, isn't it?
It's different, and you know what? It's scary. It's scary because when you're taking these marketing courses and things like that, you're told that's not a good business model. You need to cast that net far and wide. That's what we're told. You don't want to do anything that's going to inhibit you from making cash,
Yeah.
right? But as you said, when you set those standards, you call in a higher caliber of people who are going to get more from the space. And psychologically, their buy-in is greater. So now we've shifted to marketing where these are going to be your loudest voices. They're going to be shouting from the rooftops. And this is what we've had happen. We've had recent members come in who have said, you know what, I'm ready to cancel all of the memberships that I have because I'm just not getting what I need from the spaces I want in. And that's what we want to create, where people are coming in, not only getting what they need, but they're staying. They're
Yeah.
staying because they see they found a place where they fit in, where it's not just, oh, we'll see you next month. No, come in, we'll give you that support. We'll rally around you for whatever your goals are, but we're going to hold you to a higher standard because we know that that's what you're capable of. So we know going through school, that peer type environment, right? People are going to naturally adjust or they will filter themselves out.
Yeah.
So I think we've really created something special. And that's why I say we're changing the face of entrepreneurship because I really believe we are going to see more models like this. Because think about it, Kim. How many times have you heard people say, I'm just so lonely? Entrepreneurship is lonely. Well, why? There's hundreds, if not thousands, of networking groups and communities all over. There's something missing.
Yeah. And it's so true. I mean, I was joking just the other day at a networking session. Your number one dread at these things is that people aren't there to connect; they're there to sell you something. And the amount of people that start with their pitch first, I'm like, seriously, is that what you do if we just met in a coffee shop? Would you start with your pitch and the fact you can solve all the problems in my world? You don't know if I've got any yet. I mean, I've got millions, but you don't know what they are, and you don't know you can solve them. So at least ask me my name first. Like, come on, work with me. But people don't go to, or not in all, but what I've noticed recently is actually people are wanting to go to connect, and that's been quite interesting because I've gone to them recently as just as an author, which is much less scary for people. You don't try and sell them anything other than potentially if they want a book, So immediately they're kind of more intrigued in having a conversation. I'm like, that's the true art of how we're going to build community. Entrepreneurship is actually connecting with no ulterior motive, with no hidden agenda, but to connect, to learn and grow. Because eventually that all works, doesn't it? Because you need something they need, or they've got, and they need something you've got. But it's that evolution of getting it back to being human. Would that be fair?
That's more than fair. I think that's spot on. And I think what we forget, because we're so caught up in our day-to-day stuff, we're caught up in the world and technology and everything, we forget that humans have been entrepreneurs since man has walked this earth.
Yeah.
Didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
Didn't have social media, didn't have filters, didn't have all of this stuff. You went out and you connected with people. You had something that they needed. They had something that you needed, and people made that exchange.
Yeah.
We've forgotten that this is at our essence, that connection, and that connection is what grows business. If you talk to any, heavy hitter making 7+ figures, they will tell you in their story somewhere there is talk of connection, talk of listening, making people feel seen and heard. Just look at the top billionaires like Oprah, for example. That is how she made her empire, making people feel something.
Yeah. Well, and I can't believe we're nearly out of time. But that kind of brings me to Maya Angelou's quote, which is, "People will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel." And that kind of sums up what you just said about billionaires. What they did is they acknowledged it was the connection and making sure that was a positive connection that actually was the opening of their success. We literally have got about 30 seconds. So before we go, one, thank you for coming on and sharing your insight with us. It's been amazing. But just before we go, can you let people know how they can get in touch with you?
Thank you so much, Kim. Everyone can get in touch with me by going to my LinkedIn. I'm the only Sutton McCraney on LinkedIn. So
amazing. And we will make sure that is in the notes below. So Sutton, thank you so very much for coming on and sharing your insight and your journey with us. It's been a real inspiration. So thank you. And to everybody listening and watching, I hope you found today's episode to be as insightful and inspiring as I have. And until next time, take care.
Every woman carries a story of strength, of purpose, of light. Through her courage, the world is transformed. Through her grace, generations are inspired. This is Iconic Women. Within every woman lives a goddess, a celebration of brilliance, beauty, and empowerment. Join us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. New York, 4 p.m. London time, only here on USA, Global TVR, and radio. Featuring the iconic Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, honoring voices that shine across the world. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, to watch and engage with all our content. World-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives, one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.